Our last witness today on this bill that is signed in is Jessica Camargo from Action, Ohio. I will draw the members' attention to there's a number of written testimonies that have been submitted on this particular piece of legislation. Welcome.
Thank you. Chairman Olslager, Vice Chair Cooley, Ranking Member Skindell, and members of the Senate Finance Committee, thank you for the opportunity to offer proponent testimony on House Bill 50. My name is Jessica Camargo, and I represent Action Ohio, a statewide organization that is dedicated to improving outcomes for current and former foster care youth. We bring together the voices of youth, alumni, and allies to create lasting change and generate hope for current and former foster youth based on access to resources, ally support, and alumni expertise. I aged out of the foster care system in 2000 after spending 7 years in hospitals, group homes, detention centers, runaway shelters, and foster homes. School was an escape for me. It was the one place that I felt safe. I loved to learn because it took my mind off of all the other chaos in life. I am fortunate that I was able to graduate from high school. I decided I wanted to go to college so I could better my life and situation. I knew if I made it or braked it, I would have nobody to blame but myself. After all, there was nobody else I could count on. I knew I wanted to be a lawyer since I was 14 when I met a magistrate. She was the only one that ever listened to what I wanted and thought was best for me. I was inspired. I began my journey out of the system by attending Mount Union College. I didn't have anyone to teach me about student loans or the important things in life. I had no place to go during breaks. I found myself homeless during those times. I was able to get a job during breaks as a busser and waitress. During summers, I worked 3 jobs sometimes, yet I still had no place to sleep. Sometimes I slept in my car. One time my car broke down. A random police officer and his wife let me stay a couple nights at their house until my car was fixed. I would go to parties where I felt uncomfortable. There were drugs there, but I knew if I just pretended to be drunk, I could possibly crash on a stranger's floor and maybe sneak a shower. When I was young, I felt a void. I was still looking for love and attention in all of the wrong places. When I was 19, I met someone. The good news was that meant during breaks, I had some place to stay most nights. However, everything comes with a price. I felt pressured, and at the age of 21, I lost my virginity to my first boyfriend. He became the first person I let myself become close to since I was a child. He was my best friend. Until I got pregnant, the first time I had unprotected sex, and he cheated on me a month later. The wedding dress in the closet and the ring were now useless, except I stayed. I was confused and I didn't know what to do. He would begin to choke me often. I didn't think I could raise a child alone. But one day when he choked me, I kicked him back. I protected him when the police came, but he didn't do the same. I was arrested and booked while pregnant. It would take me years to get the misdemeanor expunged because I didn't have anyone around to teach me how to do it. I had to learn on my own. I contemplated giving my child up for adoption, but I loved that baby so much, and I just couldn't do it. I was pregnant and homeless now.
Just take your time, not to worry.
I was pregnant and homeless now, but I vowed I would somehow make a better life for my daughter. Fortunately, God must have had a plan because my friend from college gave me her dad's number. He was a minister. The pastor and his wife let me stay with them until my daughter was 8 months old. I then transferred to Baldwin-Wallace College. Being a single mom with no support system is tough, especially when you're working full-time and going to school full-time. There were times I had to skip classes because I needed to pick up an extra shift from work to provide formula, diapers, or medicine. There were times I had to take a screaming child to a college lecture. I got very little assistance because I didn't know how to file for food stamps, vouchers, etc. All of that was confusing to me. And when did I even have time? If I'm honest, I probably bit off my nose to spite my face because of pride. However, I did learn how to become somewhat humble, and eventually I did figure out health insurance sometimes. This is just a little bit of my story, and I know I'm limited on time. So I will sum up a few other things. I've had to claim bankruptcy. I've had a couple of miscarriages. I have been evicted a couple of times. I have been unemployed. But I stand before you today with a bachelor's in political science, a master's in criminal justice homeland security from Tiffin University, where I graduated with a 4.0. And by the way, I never gave up on the dream. I'm expected to graduate law school in December of 2017. By the time I graduate, though, I will have over $240,000 in student loans because I have had to borrow extra to make it through to avoid homelessness. I might not be able to help my kids with their own college because I will be head over heels in debt. You might be wondering how I made it through. The answer, by the grace of God, because even the strongest and most resilient can struggle. During the hardest times, I have contemplated suicide. Thank God for the husband I have today and the wonderful children who give me the support I need. And thank God for the counselors that helped me get the help that I desperately needed. Too bad I didn't get it until the age of 28. At any rate, I know that I am the exception. The other kids I knew, well, they are on drugs, homeless, on welfare, sex offenders, and dead. Some of them lost their own children or have given them up for adoption. If I would have had the option to stay in the system longer, I might have been a lawyer at the age of 25 instead of starting my career in the future at age 36. Maybe I would have chosen a cheaper college or been able to save money. Maybe I would have saved myself for marriage and had my first child when I was ready. Maybe I would have never had to be homeless during a blizzard. The bottom line, I needed a support system, and so do the kids that are about to age out. My counselor often says that I struggle with survivor's guilt. It's hard to prevail and see your siblings in horrible positions. Extending services and support to youth until the age of 21 benefits society. It gives foster youth a chance to finish college or save. It doesn't just throw them out to the curb. It will reduce welfare costs, it will reduce the prison population, it will reduce the homeless population. And maybe, just maybe, it will increase the number of foster youth that become teachers, social workers, police officers, firefighters, doctors, and of course, lawyers. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today on House Bill 50. To learn more about the issues that youth face when aging out in Ohio, please visit Ohio Fostering Connections website at www.ohiofosteringconnections.org. Thank you.
Thank you for your very moving story. Where are you going to law school?
At the University of Akron.
Great, that's great. Congratulations on
Thank
getting
you.
there. Some of us have been through that, so we know. We can feel your pain.
Yes.
At law school. Questions of the witness? Senator Tavares.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Camargo, thank you very much for your testimony, and thank you for standing up for Action Ohio. I know it's a group of young people who have come together to share their voices on issues that matter for those who've been in foster care. Is there anything else that you think we could do to make the bill better, or anything more that you and the alumni of Action Ohio would suggest to improve the lives of those between 18 and 21?
Not that I can think of at this time. I think just being able to have services or somebody there that you can go to, that support system is central. When children age out of the system and there's nobody there to ask questions like, or to go during those breaks. I think that the bill has been drafted in a way that can only help. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Sawyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me ask you, where were your college counselors? Were they just not available to you to deal with the kinds of problems you described?
I feel like I did try to go to a couple of the college counselors, but I felt like, unfortunately, they were always booked. Like, it's actually a service there that is, counselors are constantly booked, and it's almost impossible to find somebody to talk to or to get an appointment or an appointment in time. And a lot of them didn't know the resources, but there are more resources out there than there were in 2000. So I feel like colleges should have a liaison for those foster children that do go to school who know a little bit more about the needs.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if it's any comfort to you, I think that the failure of college counseling, you know what a failure it was for you. It is a failure across the spectrum for all kids. But if it's a failure for all kids, just imagine how totally inadequate it is for young people in your circumstances. It's just not up to the task. Anyhow, thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you very much for having me today.
The people who make it through in your circumstance are extraordinary heroes. Thank you for your effort.
Thank you for saying that.
Thank you, Senator Sawyer. Other questions to the witness?
Thank
Thank you for coming in, and good luck in the bar next year.
Thank you. Have a good day.